Welcome back to Simrite Fashion Academy YouTube channel for another interesting tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to sew this beautiful shift dress with plackets. Okay, you can see it has a stylish placket. It also has a turn-up sleeve. It also has side pockets, as you can see right here. So this is what I came out with. You can see how beautiful this dress is looking with the turn-up sleeves and side pockets. It has a zipper at the back and slits by the side. So if this is what you want to learn in this class, I will encourage you to stay till the end of this tutorial to learn more. Thank you. So right here, I'll be making use of Ankara. I actually used 3 yards of Ankara fabric. Then I used the other one to make a combination to it, just a remaining of the Ankara fabric. So here I'm opening up the 6 yards of Ankara. I actually got 6 yards. So I'm going to fold my fabric using my hip circumference divide by 4 plus 2 inches. So I'm folding it on the yardage part. Ankara comes at length of 45 inches, but I folded on the yardage part. So I'm trying to make adjustment to what I have on my fabric right there. So I'm folding using my hip circumference divide by 4 plus 2 inches. My hip is 48 inches, divide by 4 is 12, plus 2 inches gave me 14 inches. So I folded at 14 inches. Now I created a border line. Okay, so you have to create a border line, and that is your starting line. Next, you are going to mark your chest line. My chest line is 9 inches. I added half inch, which is 9.5. Next is my waistline. My waist is 17. I added half inch, which is 17.5. My hip is 29 plus half inch, 29.5. The half inch is for seam allowance. Then I'm going to count my knee 3 inches up from my actual knee, 38.5. I added half inch, which is 38.5. Then I'm going to mark my full length. So after marking that, I'm going to highlight the chest line, the waistline, the hip line, and then the knee line and the full length. So the full length I'm using right here, I marked 60 inches for my full length. So the next thing we are going to take now is the shoulder divide by 2. My shoulder divide by 2 is 7.5. I added half inch to it for stitching, which is 8 inches. I mark the 8 inches on the chest line as well. Then I'm going to mark 3 inches for my neckline width, and my neckline depth is 1 inch for the back. So I'm going to connect 3 by 1 inch for the back neckline. So I'm actually drafting both the front and the back on this piece. Later we are going to separate it. So I came down by 1 inch for my shoulder slant and connected to the neckline, and I also connected a straight line to the chest line to mark out my armhole. So I'm going to take the measurement of my armhole and I'm going to get the midpoint. So from that midpoint, I'm going to go in by half an inch. So you mark half an inch and connect to the tip of the shoulder. Then I'm going to take my bust circumference divide by 4, which is 10 inches. Then I added 1.5 for ease and for stitching. So I'll go ahead and connect my armhole. Next, I'm going to connect the back armhole. So I'm going to connect it to align with that straight line. So I have connected the back armhole. So like I said, we are drafting both front and back right here. So after that, I'm going to take the measurement of my front neckline. So I'm going to place my tape on that border line, and I'm going to count 1 inch above my waistline. So my waistline there is 17.5. I counted 16.5. Then I came in from that point by 1 inch. So I'm going to also come down by 9 inch for my neckline, and I'm also going to go in by 1 inch. Then I connected that 1 inch to my 3 inches neckline. Then connected a straight line from that 9 inches to the 16 inches. So you can see what I got right there. So next we are going to mark our waist circumference, divide by 4. You mark, then go ahead and add 2 inches to it. So that 2 inches is for ease and for sewing allowance. Then you connect it to the chest line. On the hip, I mark my hip circumference, divide by 4. My hip circumference is 48, divide by 4 is 12. I will mark it and I added 2 inches to it. So this is 12. I added 2 inches, which is 14 inches. And that is what I folded my fabric with. So I'm going to connect from the waistline to the hip line right now. So I'm going to take what I have on the hip and I'll take 1.5 inches out from that 14 inches. And if I do that, I'll have 12.5. So I'm going to mark 12.5 and I will connect the hip to the knee line. So on the knee line, just take away what you got on the hip. We'll take away 1.5 inches. So I'm going to place what I got on that knee line on the hem line as well. So I'm placing 12.5 inches. So I'll go ahead and rule a straight line from the hem. I'll take it all the way to the knee line. So I just want to increase the length of my gown by 2 inches. So the length is now 62 inches because I'm going to wear a heel with this dress. So right here we are going to cut out what we have right now. I'm done drafting. So we are going to cut out on the lines that are on the outside. So you can see where I'm cutting right now. So I'm just taking it very easy so you will see where I'm cutting. So I will go ahead and cut the outside armhole, which is the back armhole. Okay, this is the armhole for the back, and that is what you are going to cut off. You cut off the shoulder seam line and the neckline for the back only. So now we are going to fold our fabric again, so we'll be able to cut the back. So I bring back my fabric and I'm going to place it. You can see how I'm folding it. So I folded it this way, making sure is matching the part that has that print is matching together to serve as our zipper. So I'm going to add a 1 inch. This 1 inch is my zipper allowance. So I'll just go ahead and mark 1 inch zipper allowance from top to bottom, as you can see. So after marking 1 inch zipper allowance, I'm going to place the center front on it. So I just place the center front, as you can see, to the center back. Make sure you align it at that 1 inch. So after aligning it, the next is to secure with your pins. So I just go ahead and secure with my pins accordingly. So after pinning, we are going to extend the lines. We are going to extend all the lines. The chest line, we'll extend the chest line, the waistline. You just extend them to the fabric we just folded for the back. So I'm going to extend everything. So the next thing we are going to do now is to go over to the waistline. So on the waistline, I'm going to contour my waistline by 1 inch. So I will just mark 1 inch. And then I'm going to connect that waistline. So make sure you extend the waistline. So I'm going to mark that 1 inch to the neckline. So I'm extending the neckline too and the hip line at the center back. So you can see how I'm contouring it to avoid zipper bulge, since we are going to use a zipper. So you just go ahead and place your ruler the way I'm placing and contour that part. So all these parts, I'm going to cut them off. So after you are done contouring the center back, make sure you place the fabric appropriately, the center front appropriately to the center back. So I'm still trying to adjust it to be sure I have everything. accurately. So I just tried adjusting it to be sure the lines are matching up before we replace that contour line. So now I'm securing with my pin after adjusting. So I'm going to add back the 1 inch of our contour line. Then I'm going to take on the chest line what we have there. I'll add it back 1/2 inch on the chest line and nothing on the hip line. So I'll just go ahead and connect from the chest line to the waistline, and then I'll take it all the way to the hip line accordingly. So next we are going to extend the knee line. So on the knee line right now, I'm going to extend the knee line to the back piece, and we are going to contour from the hip to the knee line. Okay, so you can see how I'm connecting it. That 1 inch zipper allowance on the knee line, I connected it to the hip line for my butt allowance. So I'm going to cut off all of this, but then I'm going to also replace on the knee line that 1 inch I came in. So I'll come over to the knee line on the side, and I'm going to add 1 inch. So I'll keep adding 1 inch from that knee line, but I'm going to connect from the hip to the 1 inch on the knee line, which I replaced. So I'm going to add 1 inch, 1 inch on the side, because we are going to cut off the zipper allowance at the center back. Then we have replaced it on the side. So this is the drafting right now, and you can see what we got right there. So I'm going to cut on the chalk line for the back. So I'm cutting the back piece right now, and I want you to watch very well to see how the back piece is being cut. So I will continue cutting on the neckline for the back. Remember, we've already cut it out before on the fabric, but now I'm cutting it on the front piece, but now I'm cutting it on the back piece. So I'll just go ahead and cut out the 1 inch zip allowance which we contoured, and I'm going to take it all the way following the chalk line to the butt allowance, to the zipper contour line, all the way to the neckline, and then I will cut it out. So here we've actually contoured the center back very well. So you can see the butt allowance. So this is what we got. So the next thing we are going to do now is to take off the back. I'm taking off the back piece, and then I'm going to cut out the front neckline and the armhole. So I'll just go ahead and cut out the armhole. As you can see, the front neckline, you can see how I'm cutting it off. I'll get up to that 16.5 and then cut it off. So after cutting it off, you can see, if I open it now, you see what I have right there. So this is how the neckline is going to look like. So I'm going to take the measurement of what I have on one side and add 2 inches to it. I got 17 inches, but I added 2 inches, making it 19 inches. So the width of my strip is 2 inches on fold, and the length is 19 inches. 2 inches on fold, and the length is 19 inches. So I'm going to place it leaving 1/2 inch upwards, and I'm going to stitch 1/2 inch all the way. If I have excess, I'll cut it off. So after stitching, you can see I left 1/2 inch. So I have 1/2 inch before I started stitching. So I'll go ahead and cut off the excess I have on that neckline. So after stitching that part, we are going to take the measurement of what we have from that folded edge. So my measurement from the folded edge, I have 5.5 inches in total. So my fabric is on fold at 2 inches and length is 6.5. So I just added 1 inch for stitching. So I'm going to fold it and stitch 1/2 inch. So after stitching, I'm turning it to the right side. So by the time you stitch 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, you will be left by 5.5 inches, which is the measurement we took right there. So this is what I got. You can see it's 5.5. So you are going to see how I'm going to put this. I'm going to put that 1/2 inch I told you not to stitch on. I'm going to put it inside this other piece. Okay, so you put it inside like this, and the next thing you are going to do is to create a straight notch of 1/2 inch. You can see how I created it. So I brought it closer for you to see. So after creating that notch, I'm trying to make that notch exactly at 0.5 inches. So I'm going to secure with my pin. I'm securing with my pin on the other side. Then I'm going to fold and top stitch the part I'm tucking in right now. So you just go ahead and tuck in 1/2 inch after you created the notch and top stitch on both sides. I'm top stitching on top of the main dress, leaving that 1/2 inch as you can see. So after top stitching, this is what I got. You can see that part is still there. So the next thing we are going to do now is to sew the zipper for the back, because the front piece is ready. So I'll go ahead and take the measurement of my zipper, and I'm going to mark the point at which I want my zipper to start. So I'll just go up 1 inch and mark from the end of the zipper. Then from that point, I'll begin to mark 1 inch. So I'll just go ahead and mark 1 inch, 1 inch, like that. And I'm going to mark it all the way to the hem line. So I'm going to stitch close the center back completely before I sew my zipper. So I tried opening the down piece of the back part. So now I'm done stitching close that part. So the next I'm going to do is to mark out my 1 inch zipper allowance, but please make a notch at that knee line, okay, to ease that part. So I'm going to mark 1 inch for my zipper right now. So I'll just mark 1 inch. So by the time I get to the sewing machine, it's actually going to be very easy for me to stitch my zip. So I'll take my zip after marking, I'll open it up, lay the zipper inwards, and with my zipper foot, I'm going to stitch my zip accordingly. So here is my zip, and the zip is ready. I gave it a good press as well. Next, we are going to place that front piece on the right side to the back piece. Then I'm going to stitch 1/2 inch on the shoulder line. I'll stitch 1/2 inch for my shoulder line. So after stitching, this is my shoulder line. I opened it up and gave it a good press. So next, I'm going to place the center back together to take the measurement of my neck collar. So I'll just take the measurement right there. Here I have 20 inches. Using Duffel satin fabric for my collar. So my collar is on fold and I measured 25 inches. I just added extra inches to the 20 inches. So the width of my collar is 2 inches, but then I'll mark 14 inches for my neckline from the folded edge. Then I get the midpoint of this 4 inches, which is 2 inches. So I'm going to mark 2 inches now, and I'm going to stitch from that point to that point, leaving the other part open for my neckline. After stitching, I gave it a good press, and then I'm going to open up my collar, as you can see. So I'll just go ahead and iron it out accordingly. So I'm going to make a notch. After ironing, I'm going to make a notch at the center back of the collar. So this is the neckline, and that is how the collar will be. So I'll just go ahead and make a notch. Then I'm going to place this collar on the main dress. So I'm going to pin the center back. So this is how I'm going to pin the center back, because the center back has a zipper. So first you are going to cut off the excess zipper. Then we are going to zip up. So once you zip up, then place the notch. There's a notch right there. You place right side of the collar, right side to the dress. Then gently pin them on the notch. So after pinning the notch at the center back, I pinned them on the zipper part on 2 sides. I'll go over to the machine and stitch 1/2 inch all the way down. But before that, don't forget to make another notch. Okay, you can see this notch is at an angle. you make it at an angle at half an inch, so you'll be able to stitch in your collar. This particular notch is different from the other one we made. So after making the notch at an angle, then it's going to be easy for us to stitch the side collar, leaving the other half an inch, as you can see there. So here I will go over to my machine now to stitch. So here on my machine, I'll start from the zip, and I'm going to stitch half an inch from that zip part. I'll take it all the way until I get to the down part. So I'm stitching half an inch, half an inch. So once I get to the down part, make sure you stitch exactly on that part we made the notch. Okay, so I'll just stop stitch at that point. Then I'll start the other from the other zipper part. I'll turn the other way to sew the other side of the collar. So I'm going to take the half an inch all the way down. I'll stitch until I get to the other end. So make sure you open up your seam allowances on the shoulder seam line. So once I get there, you can see what I have. I just stop stitch at that point. So after that, we are going to lift up. You can see that half an inch is still there after stitching. So we are going to lift the fabric up right now. You lift it up like this, and then we'll go ahead and stitch. But before you stitch, make sure you pin that point. So I'll stitch at half an inch. So I'll go over to the machine and stitch right now half an inch. So here I'm stitching the half an inch, and you can see the excess we added on the collar. It's better you have an excess than you have a shortage. So I'll just go ahead and trim off what I have. So I'll just go ahead and trim it off in line with what I have on the half an inch there. So I'm done. Next is to stitch the sides. So I'll stitch my sides. I used the 3/4 of an inch, which is 0.75. I stopped at that knee line. So I just stopped at that knee line, as you can see. So the next, we are going to take the measurement of what we have on the opening. So right there I have 25 inches. So I've already cut out my fabric. So the length is 25 inches and the width measures 4.5 inches. So I cut out 4 pieces of it. So I'm going to place this wrong side to the right side. So you place the wrong side to the right side. Okay, so wrong side to the right side, you secure with your pin. I'm going to start downwards to stitch upwards. So the length of my fabric is 28 inches. I added 3 more inches to the length I measured. So I will stitch half an inch right now, then I'll top stitch it to the front piece. So here I'm stitching, and I'm going to stitch all the way from that point. I'll stitch until I get very close to the slit. Okay, so don't get too close to the slit. Just like half an inch before the slit, you can stop. So I'll just go ahead and stitch. I'm stitching at 0.75 because that is the seam allowance I took. So I'm going to flip all the seams to the strip and top stitch. So after top stitching, it's going to be easy for me now to place it on the right side. So you can see me placing it on the right side. So I made sure I have 3 inches after stitching. So I'm going to fold in the other half an inch. So I'll fold in the other half an inch and secure with my pin. So I'll take my time and secure that part with my pin. And I'm measuring it to be sure it's also 3 inches. So the width of the strip right there is 3 inches on one side and 3 inches on the other side, making it 6 inches in total. So I'll go ahead and stitch on it right now. So after stitching, You can see what I got for the both of them. I did the same thing on the other side. So the excess 3 inches I have on the upper side, I'm going to gently fold them in. On the seam line, you fold in the seam allowance, secure with your pins. I'm folding them on both sides, as you can see. So I'll also fold the top part, and I'll go over to my machine to stitch them. So you can see what I'm doing right there. So it's going to come up on top of the slit. So here you can see me stitching the part I folded in. So I'll just go ahead and fold and stitch accordingly. So once I get to the upper part, I'll raise my presser foot and I'll continue top stitching accordingly. Spread out your fabric before you do this. So after that, this is what I got. I also gave it a good press. So the next is our pocket. So my pocket length is 10 inches and my pocket width is 7 inches. So I'm going to fold in half an inch like that. So this is 10 inches by 7 inches. So now I also have the Ankara fabric, which is 2 inches by 7 inches. So I'm going to place the band. 2.5 inches is the width, because we are going to stitch 1/4 of an inch, then fold it back and stitch another 1/4 of an inch. So we'll be able to have 2 inches as the pocket. So here I'm stitching the 1/4 of an inch. Then I'm going to top stitch, flip all the seams and top stitch on the Ankara part so it lays very well for me. So I'm going to flip it this way, and then I'm going to fold in another 1/4 of an inch, which is 0.25 of an inch. I'll top stitch all the way down. So after top stitching, I gave it a good press and folded half an inch all around my pocket. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to place the pocket above the slit. So I'm going to measure 2 inches. You measure 2 inches above your slit. Then place your pocket, find the midpoint of the pocket and secure them with your pin. So I'm finding the midpoint and I'm going to place it at that 2 inches, and it's going to be at the seam line. So I'm going to arrange this pocket very well before I stitch. So I'll find the midpoint too, so I'll be able to secure with my pin on the seam line. So your pocket needs to be centralized. So I'll go over to the machine now and I'm going to top stitch on the pocket. So this is me top stitching on the pocket. I've already stitched the horizontal part and I'm stitching the vertical part. So I'm going to stitch the other side as well. So I'm done with the pocket, and this is my pocket, and this is the slit. So the slit has to be on the same line, okay, with the strip. The pocket has to be on the same line. That's what I mean. So next, I'm going to cut out my basic sleeve. I added 2 inches on the side of my basic sleeve, and the length of this sleeve is 17 inches. I use 17 inches, okay. So I made notches on the sleeve grain line and on the front piece. So after making the notch, I take away my pattern, and then I'm going to mark out the wrong sides. So I'm going to take the measurement of 10 inches. You just mark 10 inches from the shoulder sleeve line and mark 10 inches on the other back. So it has to be at the center, and you make a cardinal point. That is where we are going to stitch the belt. So my belt width is 2 inches and the belt length is 10 inches. So I'll just go ahead and fold in the 2 inches, and I'm going to stitch with a 1/4 of an inch. So after stitching, one side is open and the other is closed. I'll use my screwdriver to turn them. So after turning, I gave it a good press. I have 4 of it. So these 4 I have now, I'm going to stitch them accordingly. So I'm going to mark on the front side. That 10 inches point, I'll also mark it on the front side. So I'll go over to the machine now. You will see how I'm going to stitch them. But first of all, I secure with my pin, then I turn the other side. I step down a little bit by 1/2 inch for the back, for the belt that is going to come from the inner part. So I'll go over to the machine now to stitch. So here on the machine, this is the part at 9.5 inches. So I will stitch, then I'm going to flip it this way and top stitch at 1/2 inch. That is for the front piece. So I'm going to turn it to the wrong side. You can see my stitching line. So from that stitching line, step down by 1/2 inch. Don't stitch on top of the front belt. Then I stitched and also flip this way and top stitch at 1/2 inch. So that is how to sew it. So after sewing, you can see I have 9.5 at that point. So the next, I'm going to tie it because we want to sew the size of this sleeve. So I'm done. I'm going to tie what I have. After sewing the sides, I'll tie it. Then we are going to sew the sleeve to the dress. So here is my dress, and I'm going to open up the zipper and turn to the wrong side. So I'm going to insert my sleeve right now, and I'm going to pin at the shoulder seam line and at the armhole as well. So I'll go over and stitch at 1/2 inch, as you can see. So I'll just go ahead and stitch and match the shoulder seam line and the armhole and stitch. So here I'm done stitching, and this is what I got. So I believe this class was helpful to you. You can see the zipper, you can see the pocket. So if you are new to this channel, please kindly subscribe, turn on your notification bell to receive videos like this every day. Like this video, share with family and friends. Thank you for coming. See you in the next one. Bye.